timing. There's good timing, there's bad timing, George. And the bad timing is when you send out a tweet and you go, as sort of these Trumpists have been doing forever, oh, if this were an insurrection, then somebody would be charged with it. And like 5 minutes later, somebody is charged with insurrection.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that's been their talking point for quite some time, is that no one has been charged with seditious conspiracy under the U.S. Code. And, well, here we are, and there they are. And the evidence in that indictment was just stunning in the detail. I mean, the amount of work that the FBI and the federal prosecutors here in D.C. must have put into that is just staggering. Piecing together the timing of all these signal texts and videos and phone calls. It's just remarkable. Yeah. Tale of how these people were actually coming to Washington, stashing arms across the river at the Comfort Inn in Ballston, and they were ready to do business. They were ready to do, the Civil War, which is what this fellow Rhodes was talking about, and they literally quote him.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the actual statute in a second, Meek, after you tell us a little bit more about this. But you read the statute. It is such a tight fit legally on the fact pattern, is such a tight fit to what they did and what sedition is. If this were a law exam question, you could write it. You could attach the actions to the statute, elements of the statute, in about 5 minutes.
Well, federal prosecutors filed new charges against 11 members of one of the groups accused of playing a central role in the January 6th attack of the U.S. Capitol. And as NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams reports, investigators say they were planning for even more violence after the siege.
It's the most high-profile charge yet stemming from the Capitol riot. Stewart Rhodes of Texas, the leader of the far-right Oath Keepers, is in federal custody, accused of conspiring with 10 other members of the group to carry out acts of violence to stop Congress from formally counting the Electoral College vote for president. They're charged with the crime of seditious conspiracy.
While all conspiracies are serious, a seditious conspiracy, an unusual federal charge, not often brought, is even more serious.
As early as 2 days after the election, prosecutors say Rhodes reached out to his group's leadership team with this encrypted message: "We aren't getting through this without a civil war." In late December, court documents say he messaged the team, "We need to make those senators very uncomfortable with all of us being a few hundred feet away." The day before the riot, the FBI says one of the Oath Keepers drove around the U.S. Capitol on a reconnaissance mission. On January 6th, the government says as rioters began breaking through police lines, Rhodes messaged his leadership saying the nation's founders stormed the governor's mansion in Massachusetts. A short time later, Oath Keepers began working their way into the Capitol in 2 groups lined up in military-style formation. Stewart Rhodes remained outside the building, but in the hours after the riot, the government says he met with his team to plan further violence. In the following weeks, prosecutors say he spent more than $17,000 buying weapons and ammunition. And on Inauguration Day, they say Rhodes messaged, "After this, if nothing happens, it's war, Civil War 2.0.
Pete Williams reporting there. You know, George, in addition to blowing up the idea that this wasn't an attempted insurrection, it blows up the argument we've heard from a lot of corners of the media and from members of Congress who said, oh, come on, this was a regular tourist visit. It was another day in January, one day in January. The planning that is in this indictment is astounding, and I encourage people to go read it. They're talking about quick reaction force teams outside the city. They're talking, as you said, about amassing arms at hotels. They're talking about marching in stack formation, using military terminology, and yes, amassing weapons to go do something about the 2020 presidential election.
Yeah, absolutely. And it fits, as Joe was just saying, it fits the seditious conspiracy statute like glove. I mean, here's what it says. If 2 or more persons conspire to overthrow, put down, or destroy by force the government of the United States, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property, like the Capitol, I mean, it fits like a glove. They were trying to delay and stop, hinder, whatever word you want to use, the execution of the 12th and 20th Amendments of the Constitution of the United States and the Electoral Count Act of 1887, all of which are designed to guarantee the peaceful transfer of power. And in effect, that's overthrowing the government of the United States because it's overthrowing the Constitution.
I think the statute goes to several things that are seditious, but it goes down to not just constitutional acts, it also goes down passing of laws.
Absolutely.
Or any government acts whatsoever. So they actually came in at about as hot as you can come in on that statute. And one of the most critical things that statute talks about, George, I am just curious, though. I'm an Alabama graduate, Roll Tide. I'm curious, where did this Stuart Rhodes, where did he go to law school?
Check that out there.
Yale.
You went to Yale?
Come on.
He did.
Yep.
I'm telling
No.
you. What can you do?
As a graduate of the Yale Law School, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
Between him and Hawley.
Collect all six.
At least, I can point some other Harvard law grads out, but
Yeah.